Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Top Billers Toolkit, where me and my twin brother interview top billers from all around the globe to unlock the secrets to their success. Today's guest is Ashley Woods. Ashley's billed over $10 million worth of contract fees, more than $3 million in gross profit, and she's done it all while traveling to over 45 countries. This is one of those episodes that's going to completely reframe how you think about success in recruitment. From Thailand to Portugal to Southern California, she has proven that you can run a high-performing desk and live an incredible lifestyle at the same time. In this episode, we're going to break down how Ashley replaced the hustle harder mindset to building very clever systems, how she scaled through partnership and not employees, teaming up with senior recruiters who are just as motivated as she is, and we're going to be talking about how she uses AI as a true multiplier. For instance, reducing 3 days of candidate evaluation down to 1 hour. We're also going to be delving into Ashley's time and energy audit method, a simple framework to help recruiters realize what work drains them, what work fuels them, and how they can save hours of productive time every single week. If you're feeling trapped by the constant grind, this episode is definitely for you. We hope you enjoy it as much as we did. And as usual, grab a cuppa or a glass of wine, depending on when you're listening to this. And let's get into it, shall we? Wait a second, guys. Quick question for you. If you could land a new client on LinkedIn in the next couple of weeks, how much would that be worth to you? 20, 30, maybe 40K? Well, we have a pretty crazy offer on right now. If you are a recruitment business owner, then we will work with you for free and write you 2 posts at absolutely no cost. And here's the cool part. Other recruiters that have come through this free trial have managed to win new clients. They've racked up hundreds of thousands of impressions and started conversations with top tier candidates. It's completely risk-free, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you're interested, the link's in the description below. If not, no worries. We hope you enjoy the podcast. See you later. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Just to give people context, I was searching the web looking for top billers, and then I saw this insane story of a young lady who traveled the world and managed to build a thriving business in multiple different countries. And I was like, oh my God, that's insane. That sounds like the dream. And also I was like, how the hell did she do that? And I was like, okay, we have to have her on the podcast. So Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to jump into the first question as always, which is, what's the number one tool in your toolkit, whether it be a mindset, strategy, or software?
Yeah, no, I reflected on this question a bit when I saw it because the first thing that comes to mind is strategy, but really you can't do anything without a proper mindset, right? And I think that my mindset in particular has attributed to a lot of the success that I've had. So yeah, by far, having a growth mindset really goes a long way in recruiting.
I love that. And what has, like, I'm sure you didn't start off with this growth mindset, and unless you're one of the very lucky people that started from a very young age and had parents that kind of instilled it into you, I'm sure this growth mindset was kind of developed over time. Were there certain things that happened, Ashley, that kind of accelerated your mindset faster and kind of helped you to see things clearer?
I've kind of always been like Little Miss Independent because,
Oh wow, okay.
I have a brother and he was 7 years older. So I always
Mm,
wanted to be like him, but obviously that's a big gap when you're 3 years old.
mm.
So my mom would always joke and she's like, she couldn't watch me walk to the bus stop by myself because I refused to let her walk me, and I would always check back to see if she was looking. So I think that was instilled in me from a young age. I lost it though somewhere along the way. And
Mm.
I do remember a period of time, like while I was in university, where like I was train wrecking hard. And the thing that brought me back was really just, proximity to people who were positive, who were great
Mm.
influences in my life. So like Tony Robbins is like one of the biggest influences I've had in my life when it comes to like impact. But I literally just like reprogrammed the way that my brain works, listening to like motivation videos on YouTube or like inspirational videos. So yeah, I learned somewhere in university that like the first 20 minutes of your day are the most impressionable.
Mm.
So I would just wake up and I would start hammering like David Goggins and Tony Robbins and just
Love
like
David
things that,
Goggins.
yeah. So then it just like it puts you into this mindset shift, right? That like anything is possible and like let's take the bull by its horns. So Yeah, I definitely, anytime I'm feeling down now or I need to pump myself up, it's like I go right back to those videos and I switch my fit.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm such a big believer on that, and it's such a simple shift. And whenever my mindset shifts back into like some kind of negativity, actually, I realize that I'm not feeding it with positivity. It's such a
Yeah.
simple concept, but it's so easy to either stop feeding your brain or get trapped in a negativity spiral online because the algorithms are so good at feeding you negative crap. So, but it's just such a great reminder for anyone that needs a motivation boost or just wants to increase their mindset is just simply feed your brain with positive stuff on a daily basis.
Mm,
15
mm.
And
minutes a day,
like,
20 minutes a day. It makes every
and
bit of difference.
yeah, you feed off of it, right? And like my
Yeah.
favorite one ever, the Tom Brady.
Mm.
He has awesome motivational speeches and like his story. And that's what I play when I need to pick it up a notch.
Love that.
Yeah.
Mine's probably David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. That is like
Mm.
Yeah.
Sam listened to it first and was like, Ben, you need to listen to it. I was like, I didn't really like David Goggins for some reason for a while. Like he didn't resonate with me. And then I listened to his book and I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And like I just absolutely loved it. And now it's funny because I think I completely agree with you as well. Actually, in the morning it's super important. Like that period is like super important. And I was always quite obsessed with like, oh, if I wake up early, I can do extra work. But now it's like when I wake up early, I'm like, oh, what podcast can I listen to? Like, how can I
Yeah.
Mm.
prime my mind to feel good before I start the day? And it's really
Mm.
made a massive difference. So that's just really great advice. So simple but so powerful. Um, so I've got to go to question two, Ashley, which is you've traveled to 45 countries while running your desk, um,
Insane.
which is insane. Like people struggle to build a successful recruitment firm in one location, and you've managed to do it successfully, traveling the world and living quite an amazing life. Maybe I'd like to. This question isn't in the questions I sent you, but I'd like to know. Go back to what motivated you to start that journey because it's quite unusual for people to do that. Like, what was the trigger to that kind of shot you off in that journey in the first place?
Yeah. You ever feel like just so drawn to something and you don't really understand why?
Mm,
Mm.
Like that was it for me, right? Like I just remember I'm a small town girl. So I grew up in a town of like 3,000 people and the closest city was 5 hours away. So
Mm.
I always had this like desire to see the world. I would watch movies and I was like, wow, how cool are all these places? I did a small stint in Whistler while I was in university, and all my friends were from all over the world, and they were like traveling, working in other spots. So I was inspired. I was like, wow, how cool would it be to go to another country and experience that? And funny enough, it was always Australia for me. I've still never
Mm.
been to Australia, but
that's so funny.
but that was like where it started. So yeah, no, I just had this desire to see the world, and like that was the draw that kind of, put me over there. I was just gonna quit my job and go,
Mm.
but I didn't have to.
Mm.
Interesting. And now I don't even know where to start with this because it's such a big thing, but how do you do it? Like, how do you build? What are the key things? I'm sure, like, as you did this, you realized there were key things that you had to do to make this successful and make it run. Like, what were the things that you learned through building a business while traveling the world that you were like, you realized they were like the non-negotiables for this to be successful?
Yeah, I think it can literally boil down to one word, and that is consistency. Um, I wasn't consistent the entire time. Like that would be a total lie, but I learned through trial and error. It was like up and down and all over the place. But the one thing that kept me going is that like I had a vision. My vision was to like travel the world and never have to come home. I had a project never going home. And it wasn't that I didn't want to come home. It was that I didn't want to have to come home. So,
Mm,
when I quit my corporate job, I had a lot of naysayers saying that, like, are you crazy? What are you doing? You're gonna go travel the world, like you're throwing everything in the garbage. And I just ignored it.
Mm. Mm.
And I was so drawn to this like traveling the world and having the freedom. And I've always been motivated by freedom first. So once I had that vision, it was just like, I knew that I had to do the things to maintain the lifestyle. And it all came back down to consistency, right? It's showing up when you have to show up. It's doing the things that you have to do and doing them on a regular basis. So not yo-yoing up and down, up and down. So I matured throughout the journey, of course. I remember when I first started, I was taking calls at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And then I got smart. I was like, this is not sustainable.
Mm,
So I started to learn that like you need to work the time zones in your favor. You need to work the geographical location. Proximity is key. Being in environments where you're able to be productive. So like
mm,
staying and living in co-working environments where other people were doing similar things was a really big game changer for me. Instead of
mm.
like a hostel where everybody's partying and I'm like leaving the party to take a call at 4 a.m. And
Mm.
it was a disaster at first, but we got there.
I love that.
When
I'm
you
just
quit
imagining.
your, oh,
Sorry,
sorry,
go ahead,
Ben.
Sam. No, you go ahead, man.
No, I'm just wondering when you quit your corporate and you went to your first, which was your first country that you visited when you quit corporate and you were like, I'm going traveling. Which was the first country you visited?
Yeah, it was Thailand.
Oh, good choice.
Hey.
Very good choice.
Yeah.
What was that like, actually? So you just quit your corporate job. Everyone was saying that you're crazy. You touched down in Thailand. What was that like? Were you like more nervous? Were you like, hey, this is definitely the right thing? What was going through your head during that time?
There was never a moment of doubt.
Wow.
It was like the coolest thing, right? Because like at this time, this was pre-COVID. Nomading was very small. So it felt kind of cool, right? You're like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I landed, I got in a taxi. I had no idea whether or not Thailand was even safe, didn't even cross my mind.
Mm,
But people went there, right? I was like, people are going there. It's got to be somewhat safe.
yeah.
I got into a taxi. This is back when like people didn't speak a ton of English in Thailand. So I was like on my phone doing the Google Translate thing, and I just thought it was funny. I was like, how cool is it
Mm,
that I can communicate with people who have different backgrounds than me, who speak different languages? And I just loved that like uncertainty.
Mm,
mm.
It motivated me.
mm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's so
Really
funny.
cool. Yeah, because
That's
most
fascinating.
people absolutely hate uncertainty. So it's really
Yeah,
interesting
I was
how
going to say, I was
different
like, that
people.
probably wouldn't motivate me. It shows you how different we are. Like, uncertainty wouldn't motivate me. It would be like, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I love consistency and I love predictability. And so don't get me wrong, like, I think there has to be uncertainty. But as soon as you said that, I was like, wow, it's so interesting because it's like, shows you how your brain is wired, actually. And I guess why you took that route. And I'm sure why you're successful as well, which is really interesting. Um, and so, you mentioned that at the beginning, it was like, you were learning and adjusting and figuring out what the best method and kind of um, day plan was. But I'm now interested, like, what did your average day look like? Because as someone who's looking in, who kind of is speaking to a nomad, my image of your day is like a few hours in the morning and then you're on the beach for the rest of the day. Was that literally what your life was like, or was it a little bit different? Like, what was the average week for you?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. It was exactly that, right?
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay, I
But
true.
feel worse about my life now, actually. Thank you.
but it was motivating. So it's like, you wake up in the morning and you would decide what you were going to execute on that day. Um,
Mm,
but when you're in the other part of the world, like you have this serious time zone advantage.
mm,
So I found it particularly motivating. Europe is actually my favorite time zone because there's like
Mm,
that 8 hour difference, right? Asia's tough. Like when I went back to
mm,
Asia this summer, I didn't take meetings.
mm.
Um, but in Europe, it's like I lived in Portugal and I would surf twice a day before I even had to work. And
Oh,
then
wow.
I'm like not productive between the hours of maybe 12 and 4, like useless.
mm.
So I know that about myself. So I would put myself in environments where I could, leverage my strengths. I'd work a little bit in the morning, I'd go surf, hang out with some friends, eat some lunch, chill out. And then I would come back at nighttime and I would just get the things done. But yeah, it was really healthy. I found it a healthier lifestyle than living in Canada because, I have a habit of here just, waking up and getting to work right away because I have to. So yeah,
So
it
cool.
was exactly that.
That's so fascinating.
Such a cool lifestyle.
So now my brain goes instantly to um like some people run businesses and work every hour of the day and still find it hard to push beyond that kind of success pillar, whatever your success pillar is. So what were the 80/20 things you did, Ashley, to be able to have a relatively, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you had a relatively not relaxed time, but you kind of controlled your time as opposed to how we see most business owners or most recruiters where they're working every hour of the day and still trying to hit those numbers. What were you doing differently, do you think, that allowed you to control your time and still bill quite substantial amounts?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's counterproductive to work all the time. I mean, at least
Mm,
for me,
mm,
um, I was very time motivated. So I knew like I would set my objectives. So whatever it was that day, whether I was going to get a new client or whether I was going to work on a role or I was going to identify a couple candidates, and I would just do it as fast as possible. So I was like
mm,
hyper focused. Why? Because I wanted to go back to the beach. I wanted to hang out. I wanted to go on excursions. So it really forced me to get smart about how I managed my time, right? I can get
mm,
way more done in 3 to 4 hours than I can in 8. Like if it's focused and dialed, because 8
yeah.
I'm tired, I'm distracted, I'm kind of all over the place. But if I'm like, I use time as a tool, right? If I have three
Mm,
hours to get this shit done, I'm just gonna maximize that 3 hours and do it as fast as I can. I'd be laser focused, get it done, and then I would go do what I wanted to do. So it was like I let my lifestyle dictate, how I ran my business. And there was a
mm,
lot of draw there. So like it was just like it's a force. Um,
mm, mm. Yeah, it's really interesting.
yeah.
So
And
yeah, sorry, Ben, go ahead.
yeah, so and just going down to like an example of a practical thing, actually, because even if you wanted to, like I'm now going into your head, like, oh yeah, I need to get this done in 3 hours. Some things like, or some people just wouldn't be able to get it done in 3 hours unless you thought of a mechanism, a process, or a way of outsourcing that was more efficient, if that makes sense. So like
Mm.
what were those needle movers or those things that you did that allowed you to do a normal 6 hour activity in 3 hours? Or do you see what I mean? Like what were the things that you actually did, do you think?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to strategy, right? Like having a sound strategy in place, having a good vision. So understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve and working backwards, like, what kind of metrics do I need to hit that?
Mm,
What kind of activities do I need to do? What kind of behaviors do I need to live, to be that person, to get those results? And then you work backwards. So, I have a thing and it's like, I'm an outsourcing queen. I like when I get a task, I'm like, who can I delegate this to that'll do it better than I can? And that's just
mm,
how I've always ran my desk, right? It's like I'm always looking for ways to get out of doing something. And
mm,
it's worked really well for me. So it's like delegating, giving up the control, and just like understanding, like, yeah, maybe I might do it a little bit better, but who cares if I don't have to do it and I can get 80% results? That's fantastic. Um,
mm,
so again, it really came back to like the lifestyle pushing my life. I was always big on like, I had people close to me die when I was younger, and it was just like this, and I was like,
mm,
whoa. And the way that we spend our time is just like it's so precious.
mm,
Um, so a lot of what I built has definitely been on collaboration and partnerships. So yeah, I'm a big, big, big believer in leverage.
mm. Love that. Do you remember like the two, three biggest things that, or not even biggest, but it could be small things that you outsourced that really changed the game? Actually, I'm guessing sourcing candidates is one of them, but is there anything else? Well, the audience doesn't know, but maybe you could tell us the things you outsourced that really changed the game for you in terms of time leverage.
Yeah, and I mean, like this was a big learning curve for me, right? Because being a new business owner, like my immediate thought was hiring people solves problems, but it
Mm,
doesn't if you're hiring for the wrong reasons, right?
mm,
So I went through this roller coaster of like, at one point I outsourced my BD, and that was when I was in Bali because it was really time advantageous to me to wake up and have meetings in my calendar.
mm,
Um, so like that was one thing I did. I didn't do it for long because like there was some brand impact there, and this was when automation was new. So I had to pull back from that. I'm like, okay, maybe not something I outsource. Now, then I looked at the sourcing side of things. Yeah, obviously sourcing is like the perfect thing to outsource.
mm,
Um, so at one point I had 4 or 5 sourcers and I just trained them to be full-time recruiters. So the only thing I had to do when I got on the phone is just like validate the things that the recruiter had already laid out for me. So
mm.
that was a big one and a huge
Cool.
time save. But now we're in like this new world of like AI and automation, right? Like we can build systems to automate, 80% of what we do. So now we're in just like, I don't have like, I have myself. I don't have any of the sources anymore. And instead I went the route of collaborating with other experts. So like other people who are really good at recruiting. And
Mm,
this is like when I made that shift of partnerships, my business just like skyrocketed.
Wow.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Can we go deeper into that, Ashley? So, what was the biggest difference between the sourcing and the partnership? Like, what did the partnership bring to the table that they didn't?
Yeah, let's keep it on brand here, but it all came down to time, right?
Mm.
Mm,
So, the sourcing and having recruiters and having a team under me was great, but I spent a lot of time on the phone in like development, right? And I actually
mm,
love the coaching. I love the development. It's probably my favorite part. But it wasn't what I was after at the time. I was just trying to grow my business. So when I went the partnership route, it's like I'm working with people who are either better than me. Now, most of them are better than me, I would say, at recruiting, honestly,
mm,
um, or just as good, right? So when I went that route, it's like I was then working with people who had similar goals, similar objectives, who also want to get deals done. So, I do my part, they do their part, and we team up. So it's like it was just this crazy force of like, skyrocketing my business. Um,
mm. Yeah, really interesting. Um, Sam, did you have something you wanted to say, or?
Yeah, no, I guess I just wanted to, for any audience that doesn't know the difference between, you having recruiters working for you, Ashley, and then sourcing and a partnership. I'm still a bit confused what the difference is. So can you just lay it out as if I'm a 6-year-old? Like, what is the difference between you hiring a resourcer and then working in your business and this partnership model? What's the difference, if you wouldn't mind clarifying?
Yeah, so when you hire somebody directly, you're responsible for training them, you're responsible for the professional development, and you are more or less responsible for their results, right? So you got
Mm,
a lot of stress and you got a lot of extra energy that you're going to put into that relationship because you need to grow these people as you should if you took that responsibility. Now, when you're spending that much time on the development piece, you're losing the execution time.
mm,
So now when I switched gears and I decided to only partner with senior recruiters who've been in the industry for 10, 15 years, they have crazy good networks.
Mm,
Um, I all of a sudden don't have to develop anymore. I don't have to worry about the production side. I'm working with people who are just like me, who have their own businesses, who have their own goals and objectives. I specifically align with people who share the same level of standard than I do. We're on the same page and then we collaborate, right? So instead of
mm.
the candidates coming from the recruiters who work directly from me, they're coming from another person who has their own corp, who is
Mm.
just as motivated to close the deal, right?
Yeah.
So
mm. It's
the biggest
interesting.
difference there is like I don't have to train them; they're already good at what they do. They're great at what they do.
Mm,
So I think that collaboration is the new competition,
mm.
and
Mm,
it's the whole idea of like competitive and comparative advantage, right? Like basic economics.
Mm.
Um, that
it's
was the biggest shift
interesting.
for me.
So fascinating. And so when
Oh,
you, sorry, Ben, did you have a question?
no, no, I'm just wondering why more recruiters don't do this. Like, because I feel like recruiters are I think it's changing now. I think that, with podcasts, with communities, with events, I think recruiters are starting to realize the power of being around each other. But I still feel like there's this very competitive, even like in different sectors, like this very competitive kind of in your own lane mentality. But I find it fascinating that actually you can use it as a superpower, which is
Mm.
really cool. And I'd love to jump onto the AI and automation piece, Ashley, because I know you're an expert in that area, and I know that you help a lot of other recruiters with automating, outsourcing, AI. Oh, am I still with you? My internet's a little bit shoddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we heard you, bro. Yeah. What was your question, dude? Can you hear us, Ben? Cool. I'll follow on, Ashley. I think I got the gist of what he was asking. I think he wants you've obviously mastered or very good at AI automation. Can you tell us a bit about how you use AI in your business and maybe how you've helped others as well? That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So like I have three rules when it comes to turning technology into a multiplier. The first one is if the task doesn't require your brain, it belongs to automation.
Mm,
Um, if it repeats, it gets a system. And if it drains you, it gets redesigned. So yeah, I've always used tech as like a multiplier, right? So there are a couple of ways that I do that. Actually, like anything in the recruitment lifecycle that you could think of. So I do a lot of government. So very compliance heavy, very paperwork heavy, and think like 50 to 100 page documents to submit a candidate to a role.
Wow.
This is why people don't do government.
Yeah.
Because in the past, it was so time intensive, right? So like we when it comes down to like, being number one vendor in your client, you really want to execute on the value piece, right? You want to
Mm.
save your customers time, you want to save them time in interview, you want to save time to hire. So we take our statement of works, which is essentially a job description, and we train our AI because we see repeatable roles, right? So we train the AI to understand the hiring preferences for the client. So we look at who they've hired in the past, who currently works there, who they've picked to interview. And we start creating these personas. Now, we then take the people who are successful, we take their feedback, and we start training the AI to what their ideal candidate looks like. Now, what this does is it removes a lot of bias, right? Because it's not my opinion on who I think is good for the role. It's data backed. And we're able to get down really nitty gritty on like what the perfect candidate looks like because we have 100 placements there. So we've trained the AI to build a super powerful persona on what that candidate is going to look like. So what this allows for then is our submission to interview ratio goes incredibly high because we're appeasing to the hiring manager's preferences and biases. So this has been a really big one for us. When I have to shortlist 50 candidates or like 20 candidates down to two, and I'm looking at 50-page documents, I mean, the AI just like crushes these documents, right?
Wow.
So
Amazing.
I went from like 3 days to evaluating roles down to less than an hour. And I still have to check because the AI is not perfect, it makes mistakes, but like this is a really good use case for how that saved me a ton of time.
Wow.
And when we talk about like the value that it brings to the client, I'm giving them exactly what they want in the way they want to see it. So I think that that's like a very powerful use case for how I use AI. Another one is just like if you're using it from a BD perspective, this one's been really popular, but like building candidate personas, right? So similar concept, you pull off LinkedIn all of the profiles that, of the client of your client. So let's talk about like a software engineer. So let's say company X is looking for a software engineer. You would go in to the LinkedIn or your database, whatever, pull all the profiles that you can find and you put them into a custom GPT. Now, what you want to coach the GPT to do is start looking for trends, patterns, type of education, like whatever the biases that it can find there that the hiring leader likes. So again, you're just looking for fingerprints of who they already like. And the AI makes this a really simple way to do that. So like, I mean, those are two that I use day in and day out. BD outreach. I think Ben was saying that BD is a big thing right now. I coach my AI. So I just take someone's profile and drop it in to a GPT. Now, I've coached that GPT to look at macroeconomic factors, microeconomic factors. I teach it to or I ask it, I don't teach it, it teaches me, but I ask it to, create my messaging based on the DISC assessment profile of somebody. So I meet them where they're at in their language, that's industry relevant, that's, their problems because, we're seen as commodities. But when you come to the table and you start talking about how the macroeconomic impact, how that trickles down into their specific organization, and you start talking to them about what other organizations are doing to get ahead of this, you become a different type of vendor, right? And that's where recruiters want to be. So like those are a couple of really good ways that I think that every recruiter should be using AI. So supercharging,
Awesome.
not replacing, but like enhancing the customer experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sorry about my internet. I don't know why it's decided to stop working when I started asking. But the thing that then they're all fascinating, all those examples, actually. But the thing that really stood out for me was the 3 days down to 1 hour and producing a like consistent flow or process, should I say, to get the perfect candidates for companies. And this is interesting because I think, correct if I'm wrong, but this is probably what companies, once they start to become more tech savvy, are going to start doing internally, right? I'm sure it will take a long time, but what's your feeling on that?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, I'd be shocked if they don't already do it. Well, not really,
Mm,
but um
Certain industries, anyway.
but I think the coolest part is that like they're still pressed for time.
yeah.
So if you can be the partner that comes there with a clear process, a clear strategy, and you guide them through that process, huge value add. And
Yeah.
you get sticky, right? Because
Mm.
you're teaching them something. So I think we're in an opportunity where like, yeah, we got all this really cool tech, but who's got time to learn it?
Mm.
Nobody.
Mm.
It's like really noisy, and to like get good at a tech tool, you really need to spend time with a tech tool. And one thing I've noticed with the recruiters especially is that like nobody's got time to learn a tool. Nobody's got time to watch a course, or they
Yeah.
got time. They're just not prioritizing it that way, right? Where
Mm.
Yeah.
so our clients are no different. Sit with them, guide them through the process, build the fingerprints with them, because then you get to start, and like you can teach that as part of your process, right? Like this is what we're
Mm.
gonna do. I would love for you to be part of that process. Let's do it together. And then they get really
Mm.
excited.
Is that what
Because
you do with your clients now, Ashley?
yeah,
That's awesome. So it's
exactly.
like it's part of your offering then?
This is what I coach recruiters through, is like building these things out,
Mm.
and helping them get there. So,
Amazing.
and using it as a creative BD tool, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now clients are always pushing back, and their first objection is like, well, what makes you different? What kind of value do
Yeah.
you add? How do you add value?
Mm.
Well, when you start talking like this, they know these things exist. Do they have time to do them? No. Do they really know
Mm.
how to do them? No. Would they prefer to have more time in their day and let you do them? Not
Mm.
everybody, but the ones that do are the people that you want to work with. Um,
That's clever. Really powerful offering, actually. It's really powerful. Um,
I'm curious, Ashley, when you're speaking to uh, recruiters who are maybe thinking about using AI, they know it's powerful, they know it could be saving them time, just like your process saved you 3 days to an hour, I think you said, or 2 days to an hour. Um, where do you start with them? Like there's probably so many areas of their business that could be improved by AI. There's so many tools. There's like a new AI tool coming out almost every hour when I look on LinkedIn. Like, how do you what's your starting process with recruiters, and how do you make sure they don't go off on some insane tangent researching the new tool and actually not being productive with AI? And I've definitely been there. Is what would you say?
I mean, I think we're at a point with AI that everybody's going to do that, right? Like, and
Mm,
you should have some time of exploratory tech time,
okay.
but schedule
Mm,
it.
yeah.
Um, don't don't let it be part of your A time. Like, I came from a Legis group, and they're always about A time, B time. You have time to drive business, and you have time to do other things that don't
Mm,
necessarily impact the bottom line in the short term, but they absolutely do from like a strategic standpoint, right?
yeah.
So like the biggest thing for me is like mindset shift. So it's like creating awareness around what's being done today and what a better future looks like.
Mm,
Um, I think until recruiters go through that exercise, they don't really see how much time they're wasting. They don't see how their
mm,
busy work is not productive. So Dan Martell uses a tool that I really love in his book, How to Buy Back Your Time. And he talks about time audits. Now, most people have done a time audit, but what he adds on top of that is energy audit. And I think that
mm,
this is absolutely brilliant because, he has people write down for, I think it's 2 weeks, everything that they're doing in a day. And then he has them highlight in green and in red. So green would be things that energize you. Red would be things that de-energize you.
mm,
And then you look at it like a map, right? So the first thing that you're going to want to automate as a recruiter who's listening to this is the things that are red, because you hate doing
mm,
those things. They drain you. So you want to be
mm.
energized, right? So I think when people think of time audits, they think about just time. How do I save time? Okay, but what about energy audits? Because that's what really matters.
Yeah.
Um,
Such a great
so
Super.
I
point.
think
That's really
I
powerful.
think
I literally just had this like brain, this like epiphany of like, oh my God, like I'm thinking about all the things I'm doing in my business now. And I'm like, what do I want to do? I know exactly what I want to do. Like I know with complete clarity what I want to do. And I know with complete clarity what I don't want to do, but I haven't really thought of that in that way. So that's really, really powerful. I love that. I'm definitely going to get Dan Martell's book, How to
so
Buy Back
good.
Your Time, right, Ashley? That's what it's called.
Yeah, how to buy back your
Awesome.
time.
Yeah.
And he's
Amazing.
off. Like I'm an audiobook person,
So am
and
I. Yeah.
he's a great storyteller. So
Mm,
Awesome.
Awesome. And I'm guessing recruiters I'm guessing the only way you understood what AI could do for your business is setting aside time to explore these tools. Am I right in saying that, Ashley? Like you can't escape the fact that you need to understand what these tools do to some degree to then see how they insert into your business. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, but you have to go through the leverage process first, right?
Mm,
Um, I'm 80% leverage. I have a ton of time. So I'm able to research and learn and geek out and listen to the podcasts and
yes.
listen to the things because I've leveraged so much. So I took
Mm,
the responsibility, I gave it to somebody else. I trust that they'll do their best. And now I have all this time to do other things.
yes. Cool. Okay, that's such a great point. Create a business where you are, yeah, leveraging other people that gives you time, and now you have time to research these. Because when you're running a business like a headless chicken and you've got apps like
Yeah.
an hour at the end of the week, you're not going to be spending it doing AI. You're probably going to be spending it relaxing or trying not to have a nervous breakdown. So that's really, it's really
Yeah.
interesting.
And that's like the powerful thing about having a podcast, right? It's because
Mm,
you're focusing in on where you gather your intel.
mm,
So it's just as serving for you as it is for your audience because you're talking to people who are already doing the thing. So you're short, like you take a shortcut, right? You're just
mm,
hearing directly from the source. I think if people don't have the time to learn the tools, then you need to learn from somebody who has the time to do the tools. So listening to podcasts, going to events, paying coaches because that's what they
mm,
do.
mm.
Like
Yeah,
that's their
absolutely.
business.
Yes,
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
definitely. And so I just last thing on this little tangent. Um, Can you recommend any AI tools, Ashley? That I'm not sure of how much you kind of build within your business, or it's like external tools that you utilize, like ChatGPT. Me and Ben use NAN to kind of connect ChatGPT and Claude and a few other softwares like Notion together. Is most of what you're doing like building from scratch using platforms like NAN, or is it utilizing ChatGPT or any other tools that maybe other recruiters haven't heard of?
Look, N8N is complicated.
Mm.
Um, is it used in my desk? Yes. Did I do it? No.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't do it
Um,
either. I would
yeah,
spend take years for me to learn that.
right. So these are things that recruiters want to invest in. Recruiting people who understand how to do the tech, back to competitive and comparative advantage. You don't need to know
Mm.
how to do the tech. You can't keep up with
Mm.
it. You're too
Yeah.
busy.
Mm.
Um, so I think this is where delegating becomes key. So, I personally only use custom GPT. The like full parameter of my desk and then, my time rich recruiter business, all sorts of tools are used, not by me.
Mm.
Mm,
So they use the lead gen programs, they use the automations, they use all the things. They're good at them. They have technical people to do those things.
Mm.
Um, and we have SLAs. So it works really well.
Mm.
But my personal tech stack really lean. Um,
Mm.
LinkedIn, ChatGPT. I use the projects, I use the custom GPTs and nothing else. Very, very bare bones. I
Mm.
used to play with other things, but honestly, I get what I need out of ChatGPT and I like their memory the most.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this quote from Alex Hormozy. He was like, if ChatGPT started charging 1,000 a month, most people, because it's so valuable to their business, most people would probably pay like 500 to 1,000. And at the moment, it's like, I think there's a free version and it's like $50 a month. And I'm just amazed at the value these softwares bring to our business if you know how to utilize them properly versus the expense that they actually are. It's just insane value add when you think about it. And there's some people aren't even
Insane.
touching it. It's just so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be problematic, right? In the future.
Mm, yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't like a regular recruiter can't compete against a supercharged recruiter.
Yes. Yeah.
Right now, yes, because it's still so new. But the bar is going to
Mm,
raise, the floor is going to raise. What's expected of us as recruiter is raising. So
mm,
if people are not using those technologies, it's going to be really, really, really difficult 2026 and
it's
2027. And
yeah,
I'd be shocked if they make it past that.
it's
mm,
such a good point. It's like right now you're right. I think it's just not enough. The gap isn't big enough. But there will be a point where like it's gonna hit people like a like a lorry, and it's gonna be like the good recruiters that are AI charged. It's gonna make a huge difference. And I don't know when that's gonna be. It could be 26, 27. Might be a little bit longer.
Oh,
It could be sooner. but
Hard to
it's going to
say.
happen. And so you have to embrace it at some point. So yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, you probably noticed we've gone completely off the questions, off topic from the questions, and we tend to do this. So this is not apologies. We don't do this on purpose. It's just we go into like a wormhole and then we go deeper and deeper. But I'd like to open up the floor for any topics that we haven't talked about that you would like to mention. Is there anything that we haven't asked? Is there any topics that you're passionate about? Is there anything that you want to talk about that might add value to the audience today?
Yeah, no, not really that we haven't covered. I think the biggest thing is like, recruiters for so long have been conditioned to think that the only way to success is hustle. Um,
Mm,
I think recruiters need to have more courage around challenging what that looks like, right?
mm,
Because, I'm living proof that, hustle's not required to some extent. Now, I don't want to say that I didn't hustle to get things started. I absolutely did.
mm,
And there is no magic fix. Like a thing has to be built, right? But here's another book that I really love, and The Science of Scaling by Dr. Benjamin Hardy.
mm.
And,
Awesome.
yeah, such a good book, but he talks about raising your floor, right? Like he said, the difference between, well, he quotes, oh God, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. The big investor. He's like the best investor in the world.
I know who you're talking about. I forgot his name too.
Big,
I've got his book.
should we chat GPT it, guys?
Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Is that who you're talking about?
Warren Buffett.
Yeah, I've got
Warren
his
Buffett.
book.
I was like, how do I forget this? Okay, so Warren Buffett says the difference between a good entrepreneur and a great entrepreneur is that great entrepreneurs say no to almost everything.
Mm.
Because they've raised the floor, they've raised the bar at which they operate. They're super dialed, super focused. And I think recruiters need to bring that energy to recruiting, right?
Mm,
Stop getting distracted. Stop saying yes to every little thing. And I think tools are a lot of noise with this, right?
mm,
For me, like I think that the best thing I ever did was get coaches for everything. So I have a coach for nutrition, I have a coach for fitness, I have a coach for Muay Thai, I had surfing coaches, and I have a Tony Robbins results coach. So I use coaches for everything because they keep me super accountable. They
mm,
also keep me informed. They are also experts in their fields. So it saves a lot of time. I think that recruiters need to start using more coaches to buy back their
mm,
time, to accelerate, to be held accountable, to create strategies, to raise their floors. Because without the coach, it's like it's easy for you to get lost in your day to day and see
mm,
in the crowdedness, right? Um, but someone looking on the outside, looking in, they're able to tell you really quick, like, why are you doing that?
mm,
And like my coach says this all the time. She's like, no, we focus on results, we manage and we measure.
mm. I love
Now
that.
without her, I'm not focusing on results. Well, I am focused on results, but it's kind of like a squiggly line, right? But she pushes me to set these aggressive goals where then I have to use time as a tool, to get these things done. So I've just started pushing my deadlines up. So I think
Mm.
of like a task that is just ridiculous about like, I last week I set a task that I was going to call 70 recruiters. 70
Wow.
recruiters is a lot of recruiters. But
Mm,
all of a sudden I have this time pressure that just forces me to be super dialed in to get
mm,
that task done. So I think that, that would be my biggest thing. That's been like the game changer for me in all aspects of my life is just, get somebody who can see your blind spots and,
mm,
have the courage to accept that those are your blind spots and the drive to get past those, right?
mm. Such great advice. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Made me want to hire another coach as well. Actually, I'm like, oh my God, I need a coach. What can I get a coach for? Because it's true, like me and Sam have also invested a lot in the past, and it's like there is a direct correlation with investing in the right coach and the growth of our business and our mindset. And it's just never, although it's scary and sometimes like it can be a little bit hard to part with the money initially, and maybe people have a different mindset around money. I always find it hard initially to part with money, but then when I do, I'm like, oh my God, that feels so good. And it's like it's always worth it, and you always get your return. And I think you can always get your return if you believe in yourself and you follow the process. And I think that's kind of what I've realized as well, is that you cannot expect coaches to like solve your life and like give you everything. So now my mindset is always like, if I can get 10% from that coach, or even 5%, or maybe 10% is probably a good number, a good percentage. If I can get 10%, that would be worth it. And if I can do that, if I can keep getting those 10% from every coach, eventually that's going to be a massive return and just a huge amount of improvement. So yeah, thank you for that, Ashley. It's a really good ender. And just on that, so go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, I've just got, this is sorry.
I was speaking to Ashley, Sam.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say you made a really good point there, right? Small things add up and they compound. So the biggest thing is I see like recruiters, they will invest in something and they expect this like mega 100x return.
Yeah.
Well, it's not
like,
realistic.
why am I a millionaire? It's like,
if you figure that out, let me know.
What's happening?
But it's the small things, right? It's like little by little, you do these small things, small tweaks. You're talking about like 1 to 3% in each areas of your business that compound. And when they start compounding, that's when you see massive results. I think that was a really good point that you brought up, is that 10%, very achievable. But if you get 10% in different areas of your life, well, shit, now you have 100.
And I've noticed actually the recruiters that already have that mindset, they are long-term thinkers. And the ones that don't are like, oh, like I want to make $1 million from this. Like, you're going to make me $1 million. They're always transactional. They're always transactional. And they're always like, they're just the transaction was the best word from it. They're like this, they can't see beyond like 6 months or 3 months or the next month. You know what I mean? And it's just I don't know why I'm saying this. I think it's just more of an observation now that we're speaking about the mindset of different recruiters. And I just think it's so important as well as having that urgency to do things today of like having that longer term mindset of like, what could you achieve in 3 years, not what can you achieve in a month or next week, if you know what I mean?
And then take the 3 years and move it to 1.
Yeah. Move it to 1 day, get a AI and sit back on the beach and do nothing.
I've got a quick question.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just because you traveled to so many countries, Ashley. I've kind of gone off in a completely different tangent, but I'm just curious, have you got a favorite country that you visited during your travels of running a business and traveling? And if so, why? Why is that your favorite country?
I would think when it comes, it's going to be a very lame response, but if I could be a place in the world, honestly, Southern California.
Oh, really? Wow. Out of all the countries,
it's a spot for me.
Wow.
Of all the countries, that's why I'm like, it's a really lame response, but
no, not at all.
No, not at all.
I'm curious why. How come Southern California? Is it because the family's there, or what's the reason?
Proximity, right? So it's like I found when I was in Costa Rica and the Dominican and stuff, it's like, people go there to escape. So they're very life-driven, adventure-driven, but you don't get the impact-driven people. So and they exist, don't get me wrong, but it's not at the masses. Now you go to Southern California, you got the beach, you can surf, the food's great, but you have really motivated, it's like motivated hippies. Which are my favorite people. Which are my
I love which that
are my favorite which are my favorite type of people. So I found that that was the perfect harmony of lifestyle and getting shit done. So for me, I was hella productive there. And my mindset was really good. I was very clear. I spent a lot of time in the water, which is very meditative. So it'd be Southern California, but the taxes are so high.
I've never heard of motivated hippies as well. I like that. I just had this image of this surfer dude with a suit on, who's really, or maybe not a suit, but I don't know. Just had this image of this really motivated hippie, and it sounds pretty cool actually.
I wouldn't have guessed Southern. Sorry, Ashley.
They're almost they're grounded, right? Because when you go out in the water, guess what? Nobody calls you. Nobody sends you emails. Nobody texts. I see some people with an iPhone watch talking, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I mean, if it allows them to be in the water, why the hell not, right? But you get this really grounded, chill person because they're so connected with the nature. So so that's it for me. If not Southern California, Portugal. Very similar lifestyle.
Interesting.
Oh, cool.
But awesome. I'm guessing the choice is a mixture of environment, but also the people. You put a big emphasis on the people around you, Ashley. I'm guessing that's a big choice in where you spend your time. You have to be surrounded by people who are also motivated, want high impact and are high performers, but also like nature in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the harmony. Like
Yes.
I'm not for the like go, go, go all the time, hustle, 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 hustle. I've been
Yeah.
there, done that. It wasn't conducive to my health.
Yeah.
But I do like the blend, the people who are
Yes.
like impact driven, who want to give back, who want to do the things, but who still value their life, their time.
Love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Such a great podcast today, Ashley. You have really given me stuff to think about with my own life, my own business, which I think, and I'm sure a lot of listeners feel the same. It's like, oh, wow, I could be saving time. I should be living a more meaningful life and not working all the time. So thank you so much for your time today. This was a really amazing podcast. And yeah, just thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Tune in for another episode next week, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Peace and love.